Hi, so this is Vegan Invasion from Asia. And today we're talking to Tim, who's a new vegan. You've been vegan for 2.5 months, haven't you, Tim?
About that.
And he's going to be talking about what made him go vegan. And it's a very interesting story.
I became vegan. It wasn't a planned thing. There was no big intention there. But I went out for dinner one night with a friend who I didn't even realise was vegan. But as we were picking food, I asked her if she was vegetarian. She said no, vegan. So a reasonably interesting topic. So I asked her why, and she explained that she had seen a film one day, a film which some of you may have heard of called Earthlings. Just been told it's quite famous in the vegan community. That was news to me, but on a whim, a couple of days later, I decided to watch Earthlings online, and immediately saw exactly what she was talking about. And after watching Earthlings, there was pretty much no choice but to follow. And it's a difficult watch. It's a very difficult watch. I'm not great at crying, but I did cry during this movie. I don't mind telling you. It shows you a lot about slaughterhouses. You know, I'd watched Food Inc. before, which is very much about the industry and the way that humans use and abuse animals on a big scale. But Earthlings goes a lot more into the detail of what happens to the animals, and it's pretty difficult to watch. No two ways about it. I know, Pamela, you've chosen not to watch it because you've seen plenty of these things and you're already vegan, so you don't need to be persuaded, maybe.
I see it on a daily basis in my newsfeed on Facebook.
Right, I'm sure. But for me, it was a big eye-opener. And a positive one in a lot of ways, but it was difficult to watch. I would encourage most people to watch it because it certainly teaches you some things. Everybody's free to make their own decisions, but it certainly changed my perception of the world, and I think in better ways. It made me think a lot more about what we do as humans and the way we use the planet and so on.
After you'd watched Earthlings, was it like an immediate decision to go vegan? Pretty
much, yeah. I didn't necessarily decide there at that moment, but the next day and the coming days, there was just no thought of going to the shop and buying meat or anything animal related at all. I still had some yogurt in the house, so I didn't throw that down the sink. I did finish that. But after that, there was nothing else at all. So yeah, it was a pretty immediate decision and a pretty automatic decision, to be honest.
I mean, that's great. And how did you actually find that going from, were you vegetarian or had you been eating meat immediately beforehand?
No, wasn't vegetarian, didn't eat a lot of meat, would eat chicken or fish.
Right.
I'm quite into health generally. I've done a few detoxes. Obviously, I'm a hypnotherapist and energy healer as well. And doing these things, people expect you to be leading a healthy lifestyle, and it helps you to know what you're talking about, because these are the sort of things that a lot of people want to do. And meat just isn't that great for our bodies. So I would eat fish or chicken occasionally. Maybe I ate red meat once last year, maybe at some point. I'm not even sure. So no, I wasn't a vegetarian before, and I hadn't planned to go vegan about 3 years ago. Almost on a whim, I gave veganism a quick try. I just finished quite a long detox after, and the guy who I was working for at the time was a vegan, and he said, I'd give it about 50% chance that you won't eat any meat or animal product again after your detox, because you'll be on a higher level of consciousness. I thought, okay, well, we'll see about that. So went without meat or animal products after the detox. And after about 10 days, I found that my body started to feel a little pasty, and then it slowly got worse. And a friend of mine who's a nutritionist said, you're O-type blood, you need to eat meat. So I took her at her word and ate half a chicken and felt a lot better. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to have happened this time. And this time it's been because I've made a conscious decision and because I've researched what you actually need to do. 3 years ago, all I did was eliminated meat without adding anything to the diet. The biggest difference probably between my diet now and my diet at that small attempt 2.5-3 years ago is good fats, so lots of coconut oil, lots of extra virgin olive oil, which are just delicious anyway, lots of nuts, lots of seeds, and a good variety. I had to educate myself a bit for sure, because we're so brought up or dragged up on meat, we're so used to it.
Well, it's the propaganda, isn't it? We get so much propaganda from sort of, all sources, which are telling us to consume meat and dairy and consume animals, and they're happy to be consumed, and that's what we should do as happy, vibrant human beings, So it's, as you say, a whole process, and you're still in the beginning of it, because you've only been vegan, it's great you're vegan for 3 months now. So there will be, I can guarantee you, a process of learning and changing your relationship with animals, because before you went vegan, would you consider yourself to be an animal lover?
Oh God, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
As we all do.
Yeah. No, more than the vast majority of people. Grew up with cats. We never had. Well, I guess we had hamsters at some point, but we never had dogs or anything like that. But grew up with cats around the house, and they were as much a part of the family as any other being that was around. So yes, definitely.
So you would be one of the mainstream people, like myself also, who prior to becoming vegan would have said that we're an animal lover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whilst eating animals.
Touché.
No cognitive dissonance problem. No, it's all of us. It's all of us, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and it's interesting that we never sort of think about these things. After, once you've been vegan for longer, my relationship with my cats has completely changed. I now very much see them even more so as incredible beings who have their own sort of, not just their own personalities, but a very solid, there is a person there, you know. So how are you generally finding it now that you're sort of like, you're into your 3 months of having been vegan?
Yeah, pretty good. You were asking me about exercise earlier.
Yeah.
My exercise changed around about the same sort of time, but I still exercise every day, but most days. It's a lot more yoga now, which is a great form of exercise. Yoga's been absolutely brilliant. I'm finding more flexibility, probably more strength in a lot of different places where it wasn't before. So it's different from running on the beach. Maybe the heart rate doesn't get up as much, but I certainly don't notice any big change in energy levels.
It's interesting what you said about flexibility, because my yoga teacher, who's also now become vegan, I think she's been vegan for about a year now, she mentioned that one of the things that she noticed very quickly after she went vegan was that there were some postures that she thought she just couldn't do anymore, and she was putting that down to age. And then after being vegan for a couple of months, she suddenly found that her flexibility was coming back, which is really interesting. So brilliant. I think it's the dairy actually with that one. But so that's
dairy's nasty stuff.
It's very. Yeah. But so now you're an ethical vegan.
Guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't labelled it that, but if that's what we're going with, then sure, I'm an ethical vegan.
Ethical vegans, yes, because we believe the animals have an equal right to be here. So, would you have any message or thought for people that are thinking about being vegan or not thinking about being vegan, but are animal lovers or on some sort of a spiritual path? Anything you'd like to say?
Sure. If somebody wants to become vegan, I would just say don't be discouraged. Like I said, it wasn't an aim or a goal for me before doing it, but clearly I had tried it. Like I said, almost on a whim 2.5, 3 years ago. And found that it didn't agree with me, and at the time just thought, okay, maybe it's not for me, maybe it's not for my body. There's a way. There is definitely, the plant kingdom has the things that you need. We don't need meat, we don't need any kind of animal product. If you're determined, if you look for it, you'll find it. Listen to your body, experiment, find out what's right for you. Different people respond differently to different things, but there are the right things out there, no question.
Well, that's a fantastically positive message, if we can hear it over the streamer guy.
Welcome to Malaysia.
Who's just sort of chimed in, which is great. But fantastically positive message, and thank you for sharing that, Tim.
My pleasure, thank you.
If people want to get in touch with you, we'll leave your contact details in the box below.
Sure.
And talk about hypnotherapy or whatever. But thank you for your time today. This is
Pleasure.
Vegan Invasion, from Asia to a brain cell near you.